Several holdouts prevent Jimmie Johnson from being NASCAR's first ever unanimous first ballot Hall of Famer. Corey LaJoie solidifies his future plans, and SVG sets his NASCAR Oval debut. How's it going, y'all? My name is Eric. Welcome to Out of the Groove. I'm here in Michigan, not too far from Berlin Raceway, where the SRX will be on track tonight. Tomorrow I'll be driving across the state to Michigan International Speedway for all the NASCAR action this weekend. I've had a few folks ask me if I have any meetups or special appearances scheduled. And the answer is no, but on Sunday at least I'll be walking all up and down the fan area, so keep an eye out for the super tall guy. If you see me, feel free to come say hi. I've never been to Michigan before, so I'm looking forward to hopefully meeting a lot of Michigan race fans these next few days. Before we head to the racetrack though, yesterday was full of NASCAR news and quite a bit of controversy. Let's start with Corey LaJoie. A few weeks ago, The Athletic reported that LaJoie was finalizing a multi-year extension with Spire. Yesterday on his podcast, Stacking Pennies, Corey LaJoie confirmed this news.
The announcement is that I'm going to be doing just the same thing I'm doing now for the next several years at Spire Motorsports.
When you say several, give me a number.
Well, it's more than a couple.
So more than two?
Yeah.
Is several more or less than a bunch?
It's a couple less than a bunch.
It's okay.
It is.
Great news for Corey LaJoie. I believe he's making the right decision. Obviously, I don't know Corey LaJoie too well personally. I don't know everything about his personal life, his wants, his desires, his life goals. But from an outsider's perspective, sure, LaJoie may have drawn some interest from some slightly bigger teams. But as he found out driving the number 9 car for Hendrick a few weeks back, the grass isn't always greener. Familiarity is extremely important. And now, Corey LaJoie obviously has familiarity. This is a team he's driven for 3 years now. They're kind of built around him. By signing this multi-year deal, he also has job security, stability. Those are things that for a long, long time, Corey LaJoie went without. He was living on one-year deals, driving for teams like BK Racing that were this close to going under at all times, Go Fast, breaking parts almost every single week. For a driver like Corey LaJoie, job security is very, very important. And there are some exciting things in the works at Spire. Gamebridge coming on as a major partner is huge. LaJoie even mentioned in his latest podcast episode that Gamebridge's involvement is hopefully going to allow them to hire more people, get bigger, and hopefully get faster.
There's a lot of good stuff behind the scenes going with, the Gamebridge guys jumped on board, and there's a lot of stuff going that's going to allow us to hire more people and get some depth and get some more technology from GM.
Everybody wants to go fast, everybody wants to get paid, but it's also important to surround yourself with people you like working with. Corey LaJoie has influence at Spire Motorsports. He's not some small fish in a giant pond. From where I'm sitting, I think this was a good move for Corey LaJoie. I think this was a great move for Spire. I'm really curious to see what exactly they're cooking up over there. But moving on from LaJoie and Spire, Shane Van Gisbergen is making his NASCAR Oval debut sooner than we all thought. No, this is not about 2024. This isn't about the Cup Series even. It's about the Craftsman Truck Series. In just 8 days, August 11th, Shane Van Gisbergen will drive the number 41 Nice truck at IRP. He'll get some good old-fashioned short track asphalt oval experience in trucks. This is big, big news. Shane Van Gisbergen continues to be one of the most interesting free agents in the NASCAR silly season sphere. SVG has said that his plan is to come to America and race NASCAR full-time next year. Reportedly, he's received multiple full-time Cup Series offers. Recently, Justin Marks spoke to The Athletic and told them, "I would love to have Shane in NASCAR for NASCAR. And if he's going to do this, it would only make sense that he does it with us." SVG won at Chicago in a Trackhouse car. He's about to make a Cup start at Indianapolis in a Trackhouse car. This Nice partnership is obviously tied to Trackhouse. Once the Truck Series news broke yesterday, I saw Justin Marks made this somewhat cryptic tweet, or X, or whatever the heck we're calling it now. "Experience and exposure. Time to learn." that has to be about Shane Van Gisbergen, and it implies that Justin Marks and Trackhouse are still very invested in what Shane Van Gisbergen does. Trackhouse would likely need to buy a third charter to bring SVG on board next season. Maybe they could lease a charter from someone for a year, but either way, that is potentially a massive investment. We'll see just how aggressive Justin Marks, Ty Norris, and the entire Trackhouse team truly are. Lastly, let's talk about the NASCAR Hall of Fame. Just getting into the Hall of Fame in any profession, in any sport, is a huge deal. It is the ultimate recognition of your individual achievements, your contributions to said sport or said industry, your journey, the success you've had along the way. It's the greatest individual honor I think most athletes can probably receive. But beyond that, there's something special about being a first ballot Hall of Famer. The first year you're eligible, boom, you're fast-tracked into the Hall. That says something about what you accomplished during your time in the sport. It's even more impressive and even more rare for an athlete to be voted into their Hall of Fame unanimously, where every voter on the panel from all walks of life all collectively agree that you deserve to be recognized as one of the great legends of the sport. I think like in baseball, maybe Mariano Rivera, great Yankees closer. I think he was one of the only players in baseball to be voted unanimously into the Hall of Fame. It's rare. It's extremely rare across sports. It's never happened in NASCAR before, at least not publicly. Those first few years of the NASCAR Hall of Fame, which has only been around since 2010, it's pretty young. The vote totals I do not believe were publicized. So, when Dale Earnhardt and Richard Petty and Bill France were getting voted in, maybe they were technically unanimous, but the voting looked a lot different than it does today. So we don't know for sure. Yesterday, with 7-time Cup Series champion driver Jimmie Johnson and 7-time Cup Series champion crew chief Chad Knaus on the modern ballot for the first time, many fans wondered if this was the year. If for the first time ever, NASCAR would officially have a first ballot unanimous Hall of Famer, or Famers. Well, the votes are in, and quite honestly, the results are shocking. What's not shocking is that both Jimmie Johnson and Chad Knaus were voted into the Hall of Fame yesterday. First year of eligibility, they're in. They will be part of the class of 2024. On the Pioneer era ballot, congrats to Donnie Allison, who I believe was also in his first year of eligibility, a member of the famous Allison family, the Alabama gang. Donnie Allison is also in off the Pioneer ballot, and congrats to Janet Guthrie winning the Landmark Award, which was also voted on yesterday. But focusing back in on Jimmie Johnson and Chad Knaus, they were not unanimously voted into the Hall of Fame. Not even close, as a matter of fact. Chad Knaus only received 81% of the votes. There were 57 people, I believe, on the voting panel, so I'm doing my math, 81%. That means at least 12, 13, 14 people skipped Chad Knaus, voted someone else in ahead of him. Jimmie Johnson, arguably the greatest race car driver ever, received only 93% of the votes. That means 4 panelists skipped Jimmie Johnson. How does that happen? Now, the votes are not public. I've seen a few reporters and members of the media publicizing their ballot as if to almost say, hey, don't blame me. I voted yes on Jimmie Johnson. I haven't seen anyone publicly yet say no. I did not vote Jimmie, so I don't know who it was. I don't know who voted against Jimmie, who voted against Chad. My gosh. Only 81% of the vote. A lot of folks are going to say, why are we getting worked up about this? They're still in the Hall of Fame. First ballot Hall of Famers. That's an incredible honor. And you're right. That is still a tremendous honor. But in the last couple of years, do you know who else was voted into the NASCAR Hall of Fame on their first ballot? Matt Kenseth and Dale Earnhardt Jr. And I love Matt Kenseth. Y'all know this. He's not on the same planet as Jimmie Johnson. If anyone deserved the honor of being a unanimous NASCAR Hall of Fame first ballot inductee, it was Jimmie Johnson, and I think you could argue Chad Knaus. But 4 voters skipped Jimmie Johnson, and at least a dozen skipped Chad Knaus. Denny Hamlin on Twitter reacted very strongly to this news. He tweeted, "What a joke, a disgrace to one of the sport's greatest ever. Make it public who said no and remove them from the voting panel." Whoa, okay, Denny Hamlin not holding back. Look, I do think we should take this seriously. Maybe not quite as seriously as Denny Hamlin is taking it there, but fans who say, who cares? This doesn't matter. Everyone's getting upset for nothing. This is a meaningless controversy. I don't agree. Go back to what I said at the beginning. Getting into the Hall of Fame of your respective sport is one of the, if not the greatest honors an athlete can achieve. Going in on the first ballot is another step forward. Going in unanimously, that's like the ultimate accomplishment that should be reserved for the greatest. All sports are meaningless if we're going to think about it that way. Baseball is just guys hitting a ball with a stick. Football is just guys hitting each other. NASCAR is just guys driving cars in circles. Guess what? The world would still go round and operate just fine without sports. So if you're going to say, hey, this Hall of Fame debate is meaningless, I hope you're ready to say that all sports and all sport debates are meaningless. It's not. Sports are entertainment. Debates like this are supposed to be fun. Denny Hamlin taking things a little too far there, perhaps, not having as much fun with the debate as I think he should, but to say this debate is a waste of time is like saying all sports debates are a waste of time, and I don't agree. I would really love an explanation as to why 4 people, those 4 in particular, did not vote for Jimmie Johnson yesterday. Like, the only somewhat logical, rational explanation I could give is that they looked at Harry Gant or Ricky Rudd and said, hey, these guys have been on the ballot for a long, long time. It's their turn. They need a chance. Jimmie and Chad, they're going to be on the ballot for at least another 10 years. They're going to get in eventually. They're great, no doubt. But let's give Ricky Rudd, Harry Gant, let's give one of these other names their shot. Harry Gant was 3rd. Ricky Rudd finished 4th in the voting this year, so they just missed the cut. I could at least understand if a few voters looked at those 2 and said, hey, they've had to wait a long time, they deserve to be in, let me vote for them, we'll get Jimmie and Chad in next year. I at least can understand that rationale, that philosophy. That doesn't mean I agree with it. I really don't want to come off as disrespectful here, but Harry Gant, Ricky Rudd, Carl Edwards finished 5th in the voting. They are all borderline Hall of Famers, in my opinion. Handsome Harry Gant was great. He was a bit of a late bloomer, but once he finally bloomed, he was beautiful. But he only won 18 races, never won a cup championship. Ricky Rudd, Ironman, I think he made like almost 800 consecutive cup starts at one point. Like, that's worth a few bonus points. He won 23 races. No cup titles, no Daytona 500s. I think both Ricky Rudd and Harry Gant and even Carl Edwards probably should get into the Hall of Fame, but they should have to wait. The way I see it, every year you look at who's eligible and you vote who's best among that group. And Jimmie and Chad this year, you look at their credentials, they are obviously the most qualified. They were obviously the best of this year's modern era ballot. They deserve to go in. Next year, guess what? Jimmie and Chad won't be on the ballot. I don't know who will be on the ballot next year. I don't think anyone great retired in 2021. Maybe someone's flying over my head and I'm missing. So next year, great chance that Harry Gant and or Ricky Rudd and or Carl Edwards will get into the Hall of Fame. But they should have to wait another year. They're not Jimmie and Chad. Again, the Hall of Fame should be taken seriously. It's one of the greatest accomplishments any athlete could ever achieve, getting into their Hall of Fame. It's not the kind of thing where we should vote people in just because, oh, hey, it's their turn. No. If they're not the greatest on the ballot that year, they don't get in. That's the way I see it. And I'm really not trying to disrespect Ricky Rudd and Harry Gant. They're both great. They're just not Jimmie Johnson and Chad Knaus. They're nowhere close. So, yeah, a really interesting controversy for what it's worth. Jimmie Johnson did say that he would be curious to know why 4 people didn't vote for him, but he didn't seem to let it sour the celebration. Jimmie Johnson tweeted this yesterday: "It is an incredible honor to be voted into the NASCAR Hall with the class of 2024. What makes this moment even more special is being included with Chad Knaus. We rewrote the record books together, so it's only fitting we are inducted together. Congratulations also to Donnie Allison for joining the Hall of Fame and Janet Guthrie on the Landmark Award. Joining the elite company of so many who have contributed to our sport is truly overwhelming, and I am forever grateful." Congratulations to Jimmie Johnson, Chad Knaus, Donnie Allison, Janet Guthrie, everyone. Very deserving class of 2024, but I am curious, who didn't vote for Jimmie and who didn't vote for Chad? Like, I get it, the crew chief never gets quite the same amount of glory as the driver, but 13, 14 people skipped over Chad Knaus? What? Make it make sense. Leave a comment down below. What do you think of yesterday's voting totals, tallies, results? What do you think it says about the NASCAR Hall of Fame, the voting panel, the industry as a whole? Let me know. I will see you all at Berlin tonight and then Michigan International Speedway this weekend. Have a wonderful rest of your day, folks. Thank you so much for watching.